Hello and welcome to another Tips and Tricks. In the last few episodes we've been covering the 12 principles of animation. If you missed any of these then please feel free to click the card above to watch the previous episodes. Today's episode is all about overlap in action and follow through. These two principles are very similar, which is why they're combined into one. Simply put, they refer to the way flexible items attached to a main driving force will continue to move after that main force has stopped or changed direction. Or items attached to a character don't stop their motion at the exact time as the character. A good example of follow through would be a long dress. As the princess stops, her dress continues to move and settle. This is simply down to physics. In that the driving force, in this example the girl, stops. But the dress has inherited her movement and continues to move forward. Very similar to how, when a bus suddenly stops, the passengers have to hang on tight to stop moving forward. The dress also has overlap, where one part of the dress comes to rest, but the looser parts overlap and come to settle later. You'll usually find on thicker parts of material, they'll settle quicker than the looser parts. You can see overlap happening everywhere. A flag, trees, jelly, even waves on the sea. A clearer way to understand this principle is to look, for example, at our body. So in this example, you'll have to excuse me because I haven't got much room here, but if I move, for example, my arm up like that, it looks like a very simple motion, but if you look at what my body is doing, it's actually working in a sequence. So the driving force at this moment is my hips. So my hips turn, and as my hips turn, my shoulder, my chest, is just dragging slightly, it reaches the overlap, so my hips are coming forward, and then this part of my body, where it goes up my spine, will be playing catch up basically. So the hips will turn, then your chest, then your shoulder, then your upper arm, like that, then your forearm, and then finally your hand, like that. So it seems like a really simple motion, which it is, but there's so much overlap going in there that you wouldn't even really think about it. But for example, if I was going to keep really rigid, suddenly I look like a doll or a robot or something. It just looks completely wrong, where that natural kind of overlap gives it that organic feel. And this is something that goes through every part of your body, even really down to subtle things like sitting up, your spine. You've got to think where the driving force is. So for example, if it's always the hips, which it usually is, everything else kind of drags. So if you move your hips that way, then your spine will just drag slightly, and then your head. So it's all very, very subtle, and you don't want to overdo this, but adding those little subtle overlaps really makes a character look organic. How long things take to follow and settle really depends on the force that's driving them and the material they're made of. If something is quite rigid, then it's going to follow the main force almost immediately, but something made of, say, cloth or rubber is going to absorb a lot more of the initial energy from the driving force, and so will take a lot longer to follow the motion. Another classic way to look at this is a ball on a chain. If the beginning of the chain moves, then it's going to take a few frames before the ball moves. Each link in the chain needs to inherit the motion before the ball can finally move. This creates a kind of drag effect, and when the top of the chain stops, the energy that was built up has to disperse, thus each link comes to a stop before the ball. This creates a really nice settle effect. But again, pay attention to what the material is made of. If it's a metal pole, for example, that's going to settle a lot quicker than the chain in this example. By obeying these principles, you can really add an organic, flexible feel to your animations. Just remember not to overdo it, otherwise your characters can come across as a little bit rubbery. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tips and tricks, and remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, bye for now.